Let's open up our Bibles over to Genesis chapter 47. And we're going to read from 13 on forward. I'm going to get some quick points out of there. No faz isso. Vai estragar. "13 and forward of Genesis chapter 47, and then we're going to talk about food, okay? In a sense, Genesis 47 talks about the famine that was produced in Egypt. And this famine that was produced in Egypt was very similar to what is going to happen on a larger scale. We saw it happen in Jerusalem in 70 AD. Remember, we're studying the Abomination of Desolation. It's not that it will be cut off immediately, but there's some progressive things that is starting already to happen as we speak that is leading up to what the Bible considers a great time of trouble, which is not only reserved for the Christians that decide to obey the Lord, but it's also to a worldwide in general, okay? For those of you that do believe in some conspiracies, there's some conspiracies out there that they want to depopulate the world by X number of million people. And of course, they don't volunteer themselves. We're talking about the elite. They want to volunteer others to, because of what, according to them, what we have nowadays is not sustainable. But we're not going to get into that today, but we are going to get into some of the changes that we see coming about because of the because of what's going on. So I don't have my notes with me, but okay, press download. No. Okay. All right, so we're going to try to do this as best as we can. And then we will, let me see. All right. So in chapter 47, verse 13, it says, "Now there was no bread in all the land, for the famine was very," what does the Bible say, church? Severe. Okay. "So the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan languished because of the famine. And Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan for the grain which they bought. And Joseph brought the money into whose house? Pharaoh's house." That's correct. Into Pharaoh's house. So when we take a look at this, there's basically going to be a centralized monetary system all going in one direction, not going in different directions. You know, it's not coming back to the people. It's going in one direction, and that is something that we can see nowadays, and we'll show it. So not only did the money fail, but then it tells us in verse 16 that he started trading all the livestock. Okay, we already kind of talked about this in the past one other time. After all the livestock was gone, the land all became the government's, okay? And after all the land became government's, we see that they put everybody in the cities. And then we compare that to the 15-minute cities, which are being built as we speak. And that's not even a conspiracy anymore. If you could have asked me about a year ago, I would have said that's a big conspiracy, but now it has proven to be a reality of what people are trying to do with the human beings. 15-minute cities where you'll have everything within a 15-minute radius from you, your workplace, school, the whole 9 yards right there, and you won't own anything and you will be happy, right? So that's the conspiracy out there. I don't know about the happy part, but I wouldn't be happy in a situation like that. Okay. And after the city in verse 23, they had bought everything for Pharaoh. They actually literally sold themselves in order to survive because there was no food. The whole issue here was food. Okay. The end times food is what was messing them up. Okay. So we are going to talk a little bit about food and what's going on here. So I have a quote for you that I would like to read. It's in Country Living, page 9, paragraph 5. Says, again and again, the Lord has instructed that our people are to take their families away from the cities into the country where they can raise their own what, church? Their own provisions, yes. For in the future, the problem of buying and selling will be very serious ones. Okay? Very serious in the part that if this world is running out of food, if there's not enough to go around, if you want good quality food, which we'll talk about today, yes, the problem of buying and selling will be a very serious one because we are not going to be able to find the good stuff. And if we do, we'll have to buy into a system that is not biblical. And if you don't obey, they'll be able to shut everything off for you. You guys know that this is happening already in China, right? In China, I was surprised to see this week that the suicide rate is so high in China, they don't know what to do. And it's because people are falling off of the regular population list and they're going over to what they call the blacklist. If you are in the blacklist, that means you have not behaved according to what China tells you, and therefore you can't do certain things, you can't go certain places. Your life is so restricted that they are literally getting depressed and they are committing suicide. Now, Pastor, the government will never do that to us. So here's our first little video, and this is a lady that is, I don't understand most of the stuff, but I'm sure that those that are in the medical field will understand this a little bit better than I do. And this has nothing to do with food, but it has everything to do with trusting the government, okay? So here we go.
Like Ebola, but it was so dangerous we couldn't use it for Ebola, but we're going to use it for COVID. So if a Medicare patient came in, you were put on remdesivir, which kills your kidney, but that's corruption, right? Because you're like, oh, the remdesivir company, they paid somebody off so that they could, be used on every patient. So that's the kind of corruption I'm sort of used to. Worse than usual, but sort of used to it. Explain this. You could not be put on ivermectin. If you were put on remdesivir and also ivermectin, the hospital didn't get the bonus. But if you put on remdesivir and not ivermectin, the hospital got a very large bonus. I have racked my brains from then till now to figure out any other reason other than to kill a patient. What is the purpose? Ivermectin is cheap, safe, generic, it's been around forever. In 2015, it won the Nobel Prize for Medicine. What motivation did the government have to withhold ivermectin for people? Fine, give them the deadly drug, maybe kill their kidneys, maybe put them on dialysis, maybe they'll die. Okay, fine, but why are you also withholding this other cheap, safe stuff? Okay, that's official Medicare policy, to give the hospital more money if you follow that protocol. So I had to do something.
So basically, she's accusing the government or Medicare of one drug being readily available and actually incentivizing it versus using another drug, or I think it's natural, the other one, that doesn't cost as much, but is very effective in curing or helping to control the COVID outbreak that we had. So these are the things that go on day after day. This is what happens when money's involved. You know that, right? If you're a pharmaceutical company and you have a lot of money, you pressure people to make a certain protocol, and they run the stuff through those channels. So I'm not even going to get into that today. But do we trust the government? Some people trust the government more than they trust God. I choose to trust Jesus. He's the only one that has my true health in mind versus government. We've seen how they have failed in the past in many, many issues. because of stuff. So, again, the counsel goes to us, get out of the cities as soon as possible and purchase a piece of land where you can have a what, church? A garden. We're going to see that right now, why it is so important, where your children can watch the flowers growing and learn of them lessons of simplicity and purity. This is a message that goes over and over and over again throughout the whole spirit of prophecy, is to have your own provisions during these last times. And we're going to see how important that is, because soon, this is not in the United States, this is actually over in the Ukraine. We were going to be facing situations as the following. Okay, it's not a long clip, it's just a real short clip. And they're just showing how many of the foods are no longer available. If you were here during COVID, some of our shelves were looking like that. Remember that? Okay. And so those are not favorable situations, especially for those that live in the cities. You don't want to go, and I don't know what's up with the toilet paper deal. How can we, I mean, if you're thinking about survival, the very first thing you think about is going and buying a bunch of toilet paper. I don't get it, guys, but that's what we faced where we were in Arkansas. Was that here in Texas too? Yeah. Toilet paper go missing? Yeah, okay, so then everybody, okay, no toilet paper, let's go buy all the baby wipes. Pretty soon all the baby wipes went missing, okay. A paper towel went all gone. So it's incredible seeing this. Okay, now this next video clip here is about what's happening to the land. Okay, we're talking about the land being sold all to Pharaoh or to these big corporation stuff. I want you to check out what is saying here about the land that is being bought up.
Along with China's land grabs, Microsoft founder Bill Gates is the largest private owner of American farmland. Gates alone holds over 275,000 acres across 19 states. Our next guest is a Virginia farmer who lives near one of Gates's data centers. National Black Farmers Association President John Boyd Jr. joins us now. John, so great to have you on. So I'm sure you've put a lot of thought into this. Why do you think Bill Gates is buying up all this land?
Well, one is greed, and it's running America's family farm is all family land. Basically, we can't buy the land once Bill Gates moves into the area. For example, his data center is right next door here. And since he's located in Boydton, Virginia, land prices have went through the roof, $15,000, $20,000 an acre. What farmer do you know that can pay that kind of money per acre,
right.
Off anything that we can grow on the farm? He doesn't do anything when he comes into these areas to support community-based organizations or invest back into these communities. That's what's hurting America right now.
Yeah.
And what he's trying to do now in the food industry is the same thing that they've done with seeds. When they put genetically modified seeds in, and now he wants to do that with beef. But America's farmers are proud farmers, and I'm asking Americans not to support fake meat, but to support farmers out here who grow beef like I do, and poultry and pork. Support America's farmers and not support Bill Gates and this mega theory and mindset that he has.
Yeah.
It's really called greed.
Yeah, so he's concerned about Bill Gates, and I agree with him about the land grab and all that. I don't agree that you should go buy eat a bunch of meat, real meat. There's a reason why Sister White says that in the last days we need to get away from the meat industry. Okay, we need to get away from that. We need to start adapting ourselves to eat the foods that we will eat in heaven, okay? So if you can't live without meat, I'm sorry, but in heaven, you're not going to be eating meat. I don't know how else to say it, right? Yeah, there's not going to be no death up there. So if the chicken looks at God and says, hey, that brother over there is looking at me funny. He sure, every time he looks at me, boy, he starts. So no, there's not going to be none of that in heaven, okay? So we'll get ready. Now, this lady's out of Oregon, and check out what they're doing in Oregon. And this is not Oregon. This actually has gone to a couple of other states as well. But check this out. All in the name of saving the land and conserving it, okay? Check this out.
Okay, guys, I had to stop what I was doing to share this with you guys because this is crazy. Right now, the state of Oregon is shutting down small family farms en masse under the guise of water conservation. Oregon lawmakers are rewording their laws to effectively treat small local farms the same as like a large farming operation on a commercial scale. And let me tell you the scariest part, because I've talked about this on my page before. The way they are finding these farms is they are using satellite imagery to pinpoint your farm and send you a cease and desist letter and insisting that you stop all production. Their government has also set up a hotline so that your neighbors can call and rat on you for watering the vegetables and fruit that you're going to go sell at the farmer's market next weekend. Now, I can...
So, that's basically it. Yeah, no more water usage. In Arizona, you can dig your own well in Arizona, but now you have to put a meter on your own well, and they charge you for the water that you pull out of your own well in Arizona. So I don't know if is it that here too, Texas? No, Texas doesn't have that yet. But in Arizona, you do. You have your well, you still got to pay for it. You got to pay for it per gallon that's used. Now, she said something interesting, that they set up a hotline to tell on your neighbor, kind of snitch on your neighbor about the food industry or the plantation if you're watering your own vegetables. In China, it was interesting that they actually went and they confiscated the trees and the plants. I don't know how many of you guys saw that. You're not allowed to plant your own food. You cannot, and they will not allow you. You've got a little yard, they'll go in there, they'll literally tear down your trees and your garden. You cannot have your own stuff. So check out this guy. Some FBI's, they're going over and they're interrogating somebody. And I just want you guys to just pay attention to the way they're doing it.
Man has FBI agents knocking on his door.
And who are you with?
FBI.
But the reason for their visit is puzzling.
State your presence.
State my presence, or why we're here to talk to you? I'm here to talk to you, see if you can give us a little help. Be honest.
On what?
I can discuss it, but we need to sit down and talk first.
About what?
About what?
Yeah.
Well, the FBI has a lot of programs going on where we try to identify some situations or people or groups that may be of interest. And you're not in trouble, you haven't done anything wrong, but you may know somebody that put the hair on the back of your neck up that you'd be willing to talk to us about, and that's why we're here to talk to you.
I'm sorry, I can't talk about something like that.
Okay. You just say you're not willing to talk to us?
No, not unless I'm under arrest.
No,
you have
you haven't done anything.
And if you...
So basically, yes, we know, and he goes on to elaborate, it's a long video, about we know that you have some groups, talking about social media, that we need to possibly know more information about these people, and they're part of your group, so they have corresponded with you, and so we need to talk to you about that. They eventually leave. They said, no, get out of here. We're not talking to you. But if the time comes, or when it comes, not if, when it comes, and there's hunger in the land, like there was in the besieging of Jerusalem, if you got food, word is going to spread out, especially when everybody's famished, okay? In Europe, this is happening. Chicken keepers must register to beat the bird flu. They've got to register their chickens. I mean, it's getting ridiculous on things that come up everywhere in there, right? And this is why Matthew 24, verse 21 says the following: for then, and it's talking in the context of Jerusalem being encompassed, okay? When the national Sunday law, of which we have studied in depth of, the abomination of desolation is set up, Listen up. It says, for then there will be a great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world until this time, no, nor ever shall be. It's the worst of the worst scenario. Great controversy actually says that the destruction of Jerusalem is but a pale comparison of what will happen on a worldwide scale. That means there will be, one of the issues will be no food. This is why it is so important for us to recognize the times we live in, because we already saw how potentially close it is for the Sunday law to be set up. Okay? She says the following, if the land is cultivated, it will be a what, church? A blessing of God. Supply our necessities, or to supply our necessities. We are not to be discouraged about temporal things because of apparent failures, nor should we be disheartened by delay. We should work the soil cheerfully. Yes, I love that. So let's go do some gardening. Hopefully, gratefully believing that the earth holds in her bosom rich stores for the faithful worker to garner. Rich stores richer than gold or silver. Yes, and I believe that is true. There'll come a time, just like in the days of Jerusalem, when a little bit of food was worth a whole lot of money. And those that have the food and control the industry, they're the ones that control everything, right? With the proper intelligent cultivation, the earth will yield its treasures for the benefit of man. The mountains and hills are changing. The earth is waxing old like a garment. But the blessing of God, which spreads a table for his people in the wilderness, will never cease. For those that obey the voice of the Lord about doing country living, the promise is there. You go out there, it's hard work. Trust me, I know. I found out the hard way. It's hard work, but it's good for you. Okay? It's very good for you. Well, Pastor, why can't we just buy food over here and it'll be fine for us? Because all the food is no good. Check this out. Obesity kills 2.8 million per year. Heart disease, 17.9 million per year. Diabetes, 1.5 million per year. If the government really cares about your health, they would have banned fast food and refined sugars and industrialized seed oils long ago. Bet they don't, okay? That's just reality. All right? You can't trust them to take care of us. We have to take our own health into our own hands. And that's why country living is so important, to grow your own foods and your vegetables, because even the stuff nowadays is not good. For example, strawberries, they contain dangerous levels of pesticide linked to cancer, obesity, infertility. Study warns. Yes. Even strawberries, but hold on. What are we going to do if we can't eat strawberries? Yes, you can eat strawberries, but grow them yourselves. You won't have all the stuff sprayed on them that is harmful. But we wash them. Yes, you wash them, but it actually gets in the plant. You know, you can't wash that stuff out. So the dirty dozen: strawberries, spinach, nectarines, apples, peaches, pears, cherries, grapes, celery, tomatoes, bell peppers, potatoes. They get so much sprayed upon to try to make them edible. We definitely have to start growing our own foods. Or you can try buying all organic, which will basically, you'll have to double your monies at the store just to eat organic, right? How about this one? This is a gene-altered apple gets U.S. approval. So you cut the apple, and within 8 hours, the Granny Smith apple, one of my favorites right there, the good apple will not turn dark after 8 hours. Ain't that amazing? Well, it would be if it was natural, but it's being genetically modified. And mostly modified crops are developed by giant seed and chemical companies like Monsanto. So, I don't know. I don't know if we should trust them at all. They're the ones that are poisoning the rest of the world, right? And so these are the reasons, some of the reasons why we need to grow our own foods. And it gets worse, okay, guys, before it gets better. All right, how many have seen this rice here already? It's not quite out yet. I got the link there if anybody wants to read upon it, or you can Google it yourself. All of these you can Google. You don't have to take my word for it. You can look at it up yourselves. This is incredible, okay? Check this out. Check out this rice, okay? You've heard of plant-based meats. Now you're finding or meat-based rice. What are you talking about, Pastor? Just watch the video real quick.
Could rice become the future of meat? Scientists explore a sustainable hybrid food. The quest for sustainable and nutritious food sources takes an exciting turn with the development of a hybrid food, rice infused with animal cells. This innovative approach uses readily available rice grains and innovative bioengineering to potentially address food security concerns while minimizing environmental impact. Rice with a meat twist. Researchers from South Korea have devised a method to coat rice grains with an edible fish gelatin and food enzyme mixture. This coating acts as a glue, allowing bovine muscle and fat cells to adhere to the rice, essentially creating a hybrid food containing both plant and animal nutrients. Why is this exciting? Sustainability. Compared to traditional live...
There you go. Meat-based plant or rice. How many would love to try some of that? That even sounds gross. But it's in the works for sustainability of the human beings, okay? That's hot off the press, by the way. And that's also known as amalgamation, if you hadn't caught upon that, is splicing animal cells into the rice and forming stuff that God had never intended.
You also have that meat-based cell that creates meat.
Yeah, that's just...
It's actually chicken.
That's, and I've showed this one before. No, not this one, but I'm going to show another clip on vegetables. Veggie vax, I call it.
Future vaccines could look more like eating a salad than getting a shot in the arm. That's a great way to switch things out, I'd like.
That's also a direct quote from researchers at the University of California, Riverside, because they are working to find out if they can grow protection against viruses, like COVID, to create edible forms of the shot.
ABC 7's Megan Miller is getting us more on what they're working on and what it could mean for you.
What's in today's injections could eventually be on the menu.
May I take your order?
If researchers are successful, one day you could order a plant-based dish with protection from COVID-19.
Oh, for sure. If they can pull it off, I think it would be amazing.
But the big question is how? First, think about how messenger RNA technology works.
The technology to make mRNA vaccines changed the world.
It made the Pfizer and Moderna COVID vaccines possible. It teaches the cells in our bodies how to recognize and fight the virus.
But the goal is that it could be applied to any leafy greens that people eat.
Right now at UC Riverside, scientists are testing out the concept in plant cells.
All plants contain these small factories.
They're trying to see if DNA containing vaccines can be successfully delivered into greens.
So once we deliver that information, the plant can synthesize the vaccines in the same way as they make sugars that is in the food we eat.
They're starting with spinach and lettuce.
Spinach and lettuce are the first ones, then later on they're going to go to tomatoes, cucumbers, and whatnot. Riverside, California, my old stomping grounds. Yes, that's where they're trying to develop this stuff. Amalgamation was the reason why the world was destroyed in the pre-flood environment. What makes you think that God's going to allow that to happen nowadays? They're just playing way too much with all the stuff. Country Living 17, page 17, paragraph 5, or chapter 17, paragraph 5 says, serious times are before us, And there's greater need for families to get out of the cities into the country, and to that the truth may be carried into the byways as well as the highways of the earth. Much depends upon laying our plans according to the word of the Lord, and with persevering energy carrying them out. More depends upon the consecrated activity and perseverance than upon the genius and book learning. All the talents and abilities given to human agents, if unused, are of little value. So what little value is there if we just, okay, we know country living should be done, but nobody does it? Little value there is in it. Oh boy. All right. Everything turns out that most of our products, and I know I'm running out of time, but give me a few more minutes. Everything that is out there is going the wrong direction. Pork, it used to be, hey, we as Adventists, we don't eat pork. Yes, we don't eat pork, and therefore no more bacon strips, no more ham, and that was it. But guess what? They're putting pork on almost everything out there, church.
Kidneys and diabetics.
Yeah, everything out there is having pork, like Doritos. How many love Doritos? Let's be honest. It tastes good. How many are going to eat it anymore? No more eating. Why? Donuts, Coffee Mate, Jell-O. You guys know that all gelatin products have pork, right? And yet we eat them. Marshmallows. I'm not going to say anything because of this past weekend, but marshmallows. All right? One of my favorites, so don't think I'm just trying to step on people's toes. One of my favorites, that's Welch's grape juice, contains pork in it, so no more. Dunkin' Donuts, Cheetos, which I used to love munching on Cheetos because of the crunchiness. That's not even a food. Cheetos is not a food. That's correct. So, we have all these products that are out there that are containing pork in them. It's not good for us. If you want to watch a good movie, watch What the Health. Okay, just look it up. It's on YouTube, or I think it's on Netflix, if you have Netflix. Anybody know who this young lady is? What's her name? Greta? Yeah, her. Do you see what she's carrying? Baked crickets. Yum, yum, right? Those are good. Yeah. Anyways, let me move forward. A return to simpler methods will be appreciated by the children and youth. Okay? To the nervous child who finds lessons from book exhausting and hard to remember, it will be especially valuable talking about country living and growing your own stuff out there. Okay? Testimonies to the church. Let's move forward. I want you to notice that most of our food industries. Okay, let me back up a second. Most of our music industries, the famous ones, have made pacts with the enemy, okay, with the devil. You all know that. They've sold their soul. I want you to notice about this commercial here, okay? And you think about it, it's in Spanish, but I don't even need to translate it. I don't have to. You guys are going to watch and you're going to say, oh my. Okay? Check this out.
Hermano, cómo te extraño. ¡Tío Alberto!
¡Qué sorpresa! ¿Qué hubo, familia? ¿Cómo están?
Alberto.
¿Quién es él? Es Mario, mi pareja.
¡Qué milagro! Creí que este iba a estar solo para siempre. Alberto, qué lindos.
Yes, ma'am. Doritos. Guys, these people are so in bed with the devil. My goodness. And it's all. There's a reason why Sister White said, man, we need to grow our own provisions. Spiritualism. I mean, everything's wrong with that video. You guys for those that didn't speak Spanish, that don't speak Spanish, you guys fully understood the message, right? Yeah, spiritualism, homosexuality, worshiping the dead, and the whole 9 yards is bad. But Doritos, yes, no siree, not in my house. I remember when we first watched that video, that was several years ago, I said, you know what? Never in my house will I buy Doritos again, because that offends my God. Okay? There's other things that offends our God. I don't know if this is going to step on anybody's toes here, but that symbol is of Ishtar, the goddess, and there's no reason why anybody should have to pay for $4 for a small cup of coffee, if you drink coffee. Okay? It's a pagan goddess. Okay? If it offends my God, it's...
That's Ishtar?
Yes. It offends God, man, it's not coming to my house, or I'm not going to spend or waste my money on that stuff, okay? We are not to locate ourselves where we will be forced into close relationship with those who do not honor God. A crisis is soon to come in regards to the observance of Sunday. The Sunday party is strengthening itself in its false claims, and this will mean oppression to those who determine to keep the Sabbath of the Lord. We are to place ourselves where we can carry out the Sabbath commandment in its fullness. 6 days shalt thou labor, the Lord declares, and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Lord of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not work. And we are to be careful not to place ourselves where it will be hard for ourselves and for our children to keep the Sabbath. That's what Sister White says. And we'll finish up with this slide here. Pastor, we don't know how to grow foods. Okay? Check this out. This is a vision that was given to Sister White. She did not share it herself, but her grandson heard of this method, and he wrote it down because he heard her say it. Okay? This is the methodology that the Lord has for us to plant trees. If you guys remember in the book of, I forget if it was Leviticus or Deuteronomy, it says when you get to the place, you plant your trees, don't harvest it for 3 years, and it will yield abundantly. How many have read that verse? Okay. Good counsel for this. Let that tree grow strong. And if we do it in God's method, I think I've talked to you guys about this method on how my brother actually planted 2 different fig trees. One of them normal. The one that he planted this method, like 3 times as big in 1 year. So it does work. Our neighbor in Brazil, she planted a whole orchard on rocky ground, but she planted it all like this. She has a nice orchard, does she not? And we've eaten the mangoes off those trees, and they are delicious. So I know it works. I've seen it. And so that's a good planting method. So church, tonight, all I'm saying is once again, consider these. Search out what the Lord wants for you and your family. Get ready, times are going to get tough. And at the end, you can't say that Pastor never warned us, because I'm talking over this over and over and over again. Okay? May the Lord bless you. May the Lord guide you. May the Lord keep you and give you wisdom on what, when, and where you are to carry these things out. Okay? Let us pray. Father in heaven, thank you once again for your blessings, your mercy, your love. Father, we just talked a little bit about food tonight. And I know times will get tough. So please, bless my brethren and reveal to us where you want us in these last days. Father, may your will be done in our lives. May we heed your counsels. I pray for this in Jesus' name. Amen. You guys have a wonderful night.